Thanks, friends, family, and survivor. A future project coming up. This is a DC generator. It's a twin cylinder, 1500 watt, adjustable to 34 volts, and I've load tested it. And I adjust it manually with the dial at 28.1 volts, and it'll load to 1500 watts. And then when you take the load away, it doesn't hurt the generator at all. It just doesn't recognize it. The governor works beautifully. So I could actually use a TriStar TS60 PWM solar charge controller. And so the charge controller won't know this isn't a solar panel. With wind generators, that's different, because when your batteries are full, you either need a dump load to keep your wind turbine from spinning out of control or apply a brake. None of that's the case here. What will happen is when the batteries are full, it'll just stop charging and the motor will be just sitting here running, doing nothing. So that's an experiment coming up. I don't know if I ever showed you. This one's finished. This is the Yanmar diesel. And we built a new tank for it, and it runs perfectly. The only thing I don't like about it is it's noisy, but other than that, it's a real fuel sipper. But when I use this generator to charge batteries, what happens is the inverter charger, the Magnum inverter charger, or the Outback, what will happen is it'll analyze the power coming in. If it likes it, it'll switch all the AC loads directly to the house and then start charging the battery at the same time. That being the case, when I'm charging batteries, this generator also has to handle the loads of the house at the same time, and it's only a 4,000 watt generator. By going with this one, the house will just run on inverter like it always does, and I'll be charging the batteries just like I would with a solar panel using this guy. Probably never have to happen now that the battery bank is so big, but it could happen. It could happen. So we did get a tractor, and that really helps a lot of things around here. What I needed the tractor for immediately was to get the truck bed off of the truck so I could put the new truck bed on, sitting right there. And that's hard to do by yourself. I also need the tractor for a lot of things, but one of the other things I need to do is set up the greenhouse. And the greenhouse foundation are old power poles. They're going to be dug into the ground for a foundation. And I could winch them around with a truck, but it's a whole lot easier to set them with a tractor. So the second week of June, we were 26 degrees at night for 3 days. Just wiped out the tomatoes, knocked the berries back, killed all of our pollinators. Gone. And then here 3 days ago, still, late August, hard freeze 2 nights in a row. So it's just really hard to grow anything without a greenhouse. So the batteries are at 71 degrees. That's very happy. So when I take that DC generator, I'm going to take it into this one. I've got a breaker position right there for it. And I'll mount the TriStar on the wall right here. And it should be a nice quick run right under the floor into that room. And it should work pretty well. Take as much work off of these inverters as I can. This inverter charger works beautifully, but when you're only using a 4,000 watt generator, it seems like it's better to charge the batteries directly. I do have a big generator that I could use, no problem. It's not that. The issue is all about fuel efficiency. Last winter we used about 10 gallons of fuel for batteries, and that was it. Not a big deal. So we picked this one up and needed to do some work to it. It's a Kubota 245 3-cylinder diesel. So it's got the box scraper. It came with a brush hog. What else? A rototiller. So box scraper, brush hog, and rototiller, and had a bucket on it. The problem with it was this spindle had been seized, I don't know, 20 years. The bottom thrust bearing was just powder. And it only turned about a 10-degree window, so it took a Sears and Roebuck parking lot at 1 in the morning to turn this thing around. It was terrible. So I was able to press that out with a 40-ton press and make a bearing out of oak and then order parts. So this piece, I've got this piece in, and new thrust bearing and seal. What I'm waiting on is the spindle. And when that comes in, I'll put that back together. But you could see, because this was seized, they broke this off before. And rather than fixing the spindle, they also broke this arm right here. And who knows how much load that put on the worm gear. Ouch. So I can get a whole new ball screw drive, a steering gear drive, for $245, but I heard really bad reviews. They don't last very long, so I'm hoping I can nurse this one back together. So Messick's tractor, you can get every part available that's still in manufacture through Messick's, and they'll send it right out to you. So that is really, really helpful. So in order to mow the back pasture, and I also want to disc our neighbor's property and give an 8-10 foot dirt patch around my fence, so if they have a fire, it doesn't burn my fence out. So I want to create a fire break around the whole property. I want to disc the back pasture and reseed it. The rototiller is actually for a project at the church where we want to rebuild the park there and plant some new grass. So the rototiller is going to help. And of course you need a box scraper to fix the roads around here. But it really came in handy picking this truck bed off. So the problem with this truck bed is these rolled stanchions have collapsed, so that on the body panel you could see this trim was matched by the trim on the door. They were 1.5 inches different from each other because the truck bed is collapsing, and there just wasn't any way to weld it or fix it. So we bought that one, which was in good shape with a really nice tailgate, and for $200. So that seemed like the right thing to do. So there's the brush hog and the rototiller that came with it. It's all in working order. We're thankful for that. So I was able to lift the box off of this, and it was a lot easier to mount the new tank rather than lying on my back trying to lift it up. I just put it in while the box was off. That was real easy. And of course, this 200-pound rear bumper is a lot easier when you don't have to do it from underneath the rig. So this tank is new, but this sending unit is bad, and I've been waiting 3 years for this sending unit. I had to wait 2 years for that sending unit. When COVID hit, it knocked all the Ma and Pa places completely out, and just everything was back ordered forever. So now this will be in a few days, and I will actually be able to know how much fuel I have, which I haven't been able to know that since I've had the truck. And that would be fantastic. I ran out of fuel up on the mountain helping a recent widow lady, and I just happened to have 5 gallons of diesel with me. And I'm really thankful for that, because that would have been really hard for Carol to get up to me where I was at. So hopefully we'll get this truck back together and before winter. And a friend gave me this box a couple days ago, and I can put all of the rigging, because what this truck is a recovery vehicle. And because of we have to plow our own roads, and you also have the 2-week January thaw where you can fall through any of these roads. You can fall through to your axles. And so this rig is the best equipped. That new Ford F-150, it would just get torn up trying to rescue things. So using a kinetic ropes and winches and all of that stuff to try to get people out. And quite often they're up on the mountain somewhere in 30 inches of snow. So this truck seems to do the best. I've got chains for all four. It's got a posi rear end. I wish I had a locker up front that would help, but that'll certainly have to wait. But this one just seems to have I don't know if it's the weight or what. Yeah, it's the torque of the diesel at very low RPMs and some snow conditions is just really, really good. And so it seems to do what other rigs won't. So I need to keep it up and running in good shape. So that brings me to the last part of why I had to have a tractor. In order for me to put this engine in, and this one's ready to go. It's a new engine. All the externals are new. I don't think there's anything to do but put it in. Should be ready to go. I'll probably obviously change the fuel filter. So in order to put this engine in the truck, I needed to be able to roll the truck in and work on it. And let me show you the issue here. I need to pull the bumper off, pull the winch, pull the front bumper. Obviously a very heavy duty bumper, which is the kind of thing you have to doing the kind of recoveries that we do. So I need to pull this off. I need to pull the core support out, pull the radiator and the grill, so I don't have to lift the engine so high with the cherry picker. And so I can't do it in a day, and I need to lock the shop at night. So I can't roll it in far enough to close the doors and still work on it. So I'll have to roll it in and out a lot. Well, that was going to require something that can push it in and push it out, and that was why we've been waiting on a tractor. So I actually think I might be able to get to this thing this month. That's my hope. I've been waiting 3 years to get at this, and I think it would really help a lot. The rear main seal's leaking on it. I've got a weepy freeze plug that's you can't get to because it's behind the firewall. I think I'd be money ahead to fix it now rather than waiting for it to die. Yeah. So there's a lot to change on it. I'll have to switch it back to the mechanical pump. I've got a electric fuel pump, and with this particular pump, it advances the fuel timing 4 degrees, which I don't want to do to that new 7.3. I'd rather run the 7.3 with the right timing. Now that I've got 2 fuel tanks that are dependable and I actually know how much fuel I have, I don't need this fast recovery pump on here anymore. Because with this pump, if you run out of fuel, all you have to do is hit the Schrader valve, bleed the air off, light it off. It's really nice, but I won't need any of that anymore. That'll be nice. Okay, that's probably more than any of you wanted to know about what I'm doing around here. The ministry's going really well. The mission's going well. The church is going well. Good things are happening. And it's really a good time to look up. Look unto faith in Jesus Christ. You know, the just shall walk by faith, not by sight. And for those of you that are born again and love the Lord and you've dedicated your life to following Christ, let me ask you this question. What are you doing that requires faith? Good question, isn't it? Anything that you're doing right now, does it require you to believe, to step out in faith and trust God? So it's been asked, are we going to need faith in heaven? Well, of course not. Next question. Okay, so then when were you going to use it? All right, enough said. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a blessed day.